Alright, so in the last video, I mentioned that I was going to be going over, confronting our darker self, which in reality is not really our darker self, it's just the one that's kind of a little bit submerged. And I went plenty over enough to get you started, enough on dream work, creating a dream journal, gave you some ideas to start lucid dreaming, some guidelines, a little this and that. But either way, I've mentioned enough on that for now. I had a new topic to talk about. I mentioned it on Facebook and Twitter that I was going to be talking about debt. Now, in between making the Jason Miller ending giveaway, I ended up almost changing the topic 2 different times. Something came up and it was a great time to make a video lesson. Right now I've got 5 things on my mind to talk about, but for today we're going to be specifically going over how to literally banish your debt. Now, for those of you who have a lot of debt, there are professionals out there that you can hire to help you fix that. Now, I know there's not a lot of people that like doing that. A lot of people think it's a ripoff. Everything is necessary in different situations. Some situations call for it, some don't. I'm going to assume that you don't want to go to a professional and that you're just coming to Hayden instead. But either way, brought the whiteboard in this one because I'm probably most likely going to use it. Now, I have not watched any other video on how people kill their debt. I never looked into it. I always just found my own flow. That's just how I've always done it. So I don't know if anybody else is teaching this or this might be something similar, but this is what I do and this is what has worked before. And it's something that I'm employing again at this point because I am in debt very badly again. Now, I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't have the experience. Yes, I've used it to get out of debt. Yes, I have gotten back into debt. And yes, I'm going to still be using these 5 strategies. Now, these things are very basic. A lot of people don't take action. So yes, this won't go over every single way to kill off your debt. But this is 5 things that you can begin with today. And a lot of people don't even take the action to do at least 2 out of 5 things. And so do all the 5 things. If you're still having problems, hit me up. I might make a second video. But either way, the first thing we need to get into, actually, let's go. I'm going to have the camera like this from now on because I am left-handed, and watching previous videos, I've realized I look like a complete moron. Okay? So the first thing we need to do, actually, now, there's all kinds of different debts. There are debts from student loans, regular loans. You could put your car up to Title Max, and then, there's all kinds of different forms of debt. If you're one of those people that have a bunch of credit card debt, that's usually the most common. This is going to attack that the fastest compared to things such as, school money, things that are going to take years. Like your car payment, that is a debt, but it's almost like, it's like rent. That's like saying that rent is debt. Or owning your house. Okay, so first, identify what type of debt you have. If it is long-term, if it's something that's going to take, 2+ years, put that off to the side because we're just going to call that a bill. Even though my car will be paid off very shortly, I still consider it a bill. It's something that actually helps me pay it on time every time of the month. But however, there are those credit cards that you can pay in between a certain amount of time. Sometimes you don't get paid off because, it's not that much of a necessity or priority to you because, it's only going to take maybe 2 to 6 months to pay off, or maybe 10 to 16 or something like that. But either way, these debt killing strategies are going to work very well for you who have tons of different credit cards maxed out. For other things, such as things that are going to take long term, if you bought a rainbow vacuum and you finance it in a way that it's going to take about 5 years, the quickest way that you would get that paid off is just putting all kinds of extra money to the back end. And that's all I have to say about that. But for those of you who have tons of credit debt, you got K-Jewelers cards, Best Buy, you've got whatever card you've got out there. You've got, cards with your bank. You've got cards, I've had online credit cards before. All kinds of credit cards. Okay? And we're not going to be talking too much about credit score. I might mention a few things about it. We'll talk about actually all of that in a different video. We'll get into that later. But either way, here's what the first thing you need to do is. We need to abide by Saturn's law. Saturn rules over organization. Now, you'll see through these videos, I'll give little correspondences so that you will understand, so that when you do want to apply magic to certain things, you'll know what to work with, what day to work with, what planet to work with, everything like that. So I'm going to put a little symbol right here. Not everything I'm going to add a correspondence to, but little things then here and there. But either way, organization. Now, this is where you're going to start listing things down. Okay, so this is where you're going to be writing things down. You see, sometimes when I get too far into debt and it's so deep that the motivation isn't even there, you're like, I don't even want to deal with this right now. I've got so much other shit to do. This is where you will write everything down, list out all your bills. You've got rent, you've got electric and water, etc., all that, you got car, your kids may be in karate. All right, and so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to boil down the list to everything that you really need, okay? And so these 4 right now would be the essentials. You may still have enough money for your kid to go to karate. However, we're not kicking that over to the side, but this is going to be on a side, and we're going to explain when we get down to envelopes. But either way, you're going to need to see how much you need every month. Let's say rent's $1,000. Say electric is $100 and water is $80. Say the car payment is $450. And then let's say kids karate is $300 a month. Okay. So you figure out what your total is. And now I know you're going to have way more things than this. This is just a basic list for now. And so let's say you need $1,630 every month. All right, and so then you divide that up by week. Every month is about 4.3 weeks. I just divide it by 4 because that also leaves you extra money that you're not counting right now. And so it does help you budget even more. So divide that by 4. And so what you need to make weekly is 407.5. All right, and so depending on what kind of job you have, if you clock in, you can divide that down into hours and then figure out how many hours that you need every week. And you start working up to that. You've now set yourself a bar. You've set yourself a limit. There's Saturn, restrictions and limitations. There's going to be some restriction in this, but it's going to help you in the long run get your debt paid off. It's going to build your credit score really fast as you do it. But let's say you don't work an hourly job. Those are sales right there. Now, depending on, some sales fluctuate. Some sales are, static. Like back when I was working at Rainbow, you make 400 each. And if you sold somebody a Regi card, you make 100 each. And so you can map that down to how many Regi cards you need to sell off, or how many sales you need to make throughout the week. But either way, you're gonna need to figure out a game plan. You're gonna need to write it down. You're gonna need to budget, cut out anything that you don't need. And now we're gonna get to envelopes. Now, what I do is I grab just normal envelopes, just normal mail envelopes, the little white ones, not the manila ones. And what I do is I list every bill, what day it's due on, 1st, 7th. This is, for me, it's the 5th, 23rd. And you'll put them in order. Now, if you get cash all the time, you can put it in there just so that you won't spend it. However, if you've got a little bit more discipline like me, you can keep it in your bank account. What I use the envelopes for is to keep my mind focused on what's next, and as the days go on through the month and as bills get paid, I'll put that one envelope to the back and I'll keep it there. And so in one stack, you want all of your necessary ones. You can put these off to the side. You can still account for them. You still put it behind whenever it's done. But usually what I do is I'll have all my normal ones, and then I'll have all the things like my bank account, my bank credit card, or Dick's Sporting Goods credit card, Synchrony Bank credit card, this and that. And I'll put that on the side because even though, some people have a set date limit, I like to pay whenever I can throughout the week. And so, let's say, you're supposed to make 407.5. Let's add in some credit card debt into here. All right, so you got CC debt. That's credit card debt. And let's say you set a goal to pay it off in 5 months. You got $500 to pay off, and you need to do it in 5 months. So that's $100 a month. And so what you really need to start making is $507 at least a month. Now, let's say that you make 500 and let's say you make an exact over 100, 605. You could definitely put an extra 100 over to that. That knocks down a month. That saves you time. Time's way more valuable than money. And and this also works if you've got multiple. Right now I've got 4 lines of credit, or no, I've got 3 lines of credit on separate envelopes that whenever I have extra money throughout the week, pop. I don't put it in the envelope, but what I will do is I'll immediately pay it off. And on the debt cards, on the ones that are debt, not the rent, not the car, even though that is debt, if you got a loan for it, I consider it a bill, as we said earlier in the beginning of the video. This is for, small debt, within $1 to, $5,000, $1 to $8,000, And so on the debt cards, on the debt envelopes, this is the envelope, the back side is the one that looks like that. I usually write on this side. So let's say you've got your, right now I'm paying off my Dick's card. So let's say that I had Dick's right here, and let's say you want to pay $50 a month. Let's say you're setting yourself 10 months to pay that one off. And you see, whenever you pay one off and you got extra money, you can pay the other one off too. And so let's say you've got another 500 right there. All right. And whenever you pay off 50, or let's say you have that extra 100 and you want to put it towards that, and you want to put 150, I'll cross that out, and then I'll have 350. So next time I see that card, I know exactly how much I have left off. Because also, back in the writing down, what I do is I will plot myself a graph, a line graph. It'll be, down here will be the months, how many months you set yourself to go. And then right here, this is the baseline 0. Now let's say your debt is at 4K. See, what you'll do is you'll have it on graph paper correspond to the different notches, and you'll graph it out week by week. I usually set about 3 squares or 4 squares for a month, for every week. And so at the end of the week, I will plot it out where it went. I'll do a blue line for if it went up, and then a red line if it went down. I've also got one on my fridge corresponding to my credit score. To keep my motivation up on bringing up my credit score. And funny enough, I've got a magnet of Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time, and it's captioned "All magic comes with a price," right on the good old debt graph or the credit score graph. Either way, organization. Even though it looks very messy, you're going to use multiple sheets of paper, but then you're going to want one sheet of paper, and that's where you've got the game plan. Don't work yours out the way that I do mine. I haven't even showed you how I do mine. I'm just showing you how I get there. But do it the best that it makes sense to you, because when you're getting down to work within your mind, when you're putting the pen to paper, if you try to do it someone else's way, you might not get as good results. So organization is the first key. Organize, organize, organize. Know how much money you need to make, get the game plan, how many sales you need to make a week, how many hours you need to put in, how much you need to make, yada yada this. You may be a tipped server. You don't even know, how much it's gonna, you're gonna make each night. So you're just gonna have to either, say, screw it, I'm gonna stay an extra 2 hours tonight. Come in an hour early, stay an hour late. Bam, you already got 2 extra hours that night. This is your first step. This is the beginning in the mind. Everything begins in the mind. This is your first step, is to organize. After you do this, everything becomes way more easier. The next strategy is distraction. Distraction. Now, as I've said, due to the law of polarity, there's a good and bad side to everything. See, distraction has a bad connotation to it, but it is something that we can utilize. It's a tool to get us to stop spending less, because what we spend on, you'll agree with, is what we put our attention to. What you're putting your attention to the most is what you're usually spending money on. And so we're going to use the art of distraction. This is what workaholics do when they try to work more. You see, they're distracting themselves with more work. They're making more money while also having less time to spend it. So if you want, to work more hours, as I said, being a server, push in more. This is a good way to kill the debt too, because it gives you less time to spend. However, though, when you do have the extra money, don't be like, oh my God, I can spend it on this. Put it to the side. Use the envelope method. You've organized it for a reason, and now you can work very safely. And so distraction's a good key, where you can work more, We can put our minds elsewhere. We can do things that end up making money on the side. Little simple things. Think of, 12-year-old version of you, summer job, mowing the neighbor's lawn for a quick $25. That's a quarter of $100 towards your payment to the Dix card or your credit card. As we put up there, you need $100 a month. Bam, there's an extra $25 if you were to make the money already through your other job. And so to distract while also having organization is already getting you there way quicker, as you're not going to be spending more. Because a lot of people, what happens is they have all this money, and then they're like, all right, I need to pay it for debt, and then they don't realize how many times they're sliding the card or, dishing out cash, and then they're like, oh, I've only got like $28 to put towards credit, and then they're just like, I'm going to wait for next week, and it never gets done. And so distract yourself. Now, this isn't meaning to get out of whatever that you're into. It's just if you are into something, like I read a lot. That's my guilty pleasure. I'll spend way more than I should on books when I shouldn't be doing it. And so when I utilize distraction, I go back and I read the books that I didn't finish or the ones that I need to refresh myself on. It is a distraction and it keeps me from buying more books. So find out what you're spending a lot on and distract yourself from it. Or, as I said, you don't have to completely do it. See, I didn't distract myself from books. I just read my older ones. The ones I hadn't finished, the ones that I need to go back and reread, refresh my knowledge on. All right, number 3, top priorities. Now, this is the bracket that people are going to most likely abuse. Some things come up while you're in debt. There are some things that just have to be paid for. Sometimes the car breaks down and, you might be like, I can do this. It's okay to put something on the side and be fine with it. This is why you should also have some savings to the side. You should add into your monthly budget an extra $100 to save off for yourself. That's why I divided it by 4, because there's more than 4 weeks, and so you have that middle half week where you are making extra money. And so having a savings can help you out when you're trying to pay off debt, because it sucks to pay off debt when life's going on. And that's usually where people's excuses for being in debt so bad is because of life's problems. See, this video isn't just to get you out of debt, it's to keep you out of debt, It's a lesson for me too. And so your life's problems will come back. And so when you do get out of debt, set aside a savings, because you might need to go into debt for life's priority. You see, I posted on Facebook, and I'm starting to post more on Facebook and engage with the people that are on there. As I said, they're a different audience than here, but that's just fine. And while talking to a certain individual, I learned myself that it's just as necessary to go into debt as it is out of debt. But you have to do it. See, it's just like paying at the counter straight up. It's just as necessary for you to lose that $20 as it is to gain the $20 worth of gas at the counter. Makes sense? Absolutely. All right, so life's problems, all those things that keep you down, while you're in debt, it's okay to stop and go into more debt. It's necessary to go into debt. You see, if you got a health problem that needs to be fixed, you need to go do that now. You need to set aside. And so this is the get shit done. This is when the danger lights are going off. You're in debt, you're paying it off, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and then something hits you, You're, oh my God, I need $2,000 out of nowhere. And this is why we need to get out of debt fast, because you don't know when these could happen. You could have a top priority right now while you're in debt. You just got it done, and you're like, fuck yeah, and you want to relax for a week? No. Something else could come up 2 weeks later. Something else could come up 3 weeks later. Something good could come up 3 weeks later. You make more money and then pay it off and get quickly out of debt and start saving, so that while you're above the zero line in the debt chart, you can start saving up so that in case things happen. Because a lot of people aren't prepared for life shit. And life shit is usually what puts people... Life shit is what usually puts people in debt. And it doesn't make it any better when people are already in debt. And so if you're not in debt and watching this, focus on this one. This is an all around the year thing. A lot of people don't have their priorities straight. A lot of people don't take action. That's why I try to focus on it so much. We'll put a little star right there. Now I saved this one for the 4th one because it would have been lame for the first one. But perspective. Remember, perspective is everything, Think about it. As you put, I try within a week to put way more than the amount. It'll tell me that I need to put 78 or 79 over to the card. But no, I'll go ahead, $230 right there. You see, in my mind, I'm not losing money, I'm gaining money, because when I see that chart and I see it go up, I'm heading towards that zero line, towards financial freedom. You see, everything begins in the mind. The debt began in the mind. You know, you moving away from debt began in the mind. Everything begins in the mind. And so the more you look at your debt as you're losing money, which you are, usually people end up losing more money because they're seeing that they're losing money through the debt, and then by taking the money out of their pocket to pay off the debt, they're losing even more money. And subconsciously, we don't want to lose money. And so you have to flip it around and you have to get it through your thick-ass skull that you are gaining money. And that's what made me start going from $79 payments onto just here, $250, $180. That's really how you change it, because it's once the perspective changes, it changes the rest of these. It comes back on these. See, it's why I said I should have put in the first one, but that would have been lame, because it all does begin in the mind. It cycles, okay? And so we might come back to this since it cycles. I haven't talked enough on it right now, but the video is getting pretty long anyways, and I'm trying to keep these cut short. And here's a cheesy one. It's the last one. Learn. A lot of our mistakes repeat themselves over and over through life like a cycle. If you don't want to come back to this and be in the same position, you need to learn from your debt experience. Things aren't a bad or good thing. This was an experience for you. You're going to be really happy to be out of it, but you need to learn from it. You've got lessons in life that you're learning right now. Not everybody gets to learn the debt lesson. Some people do, some people don't. Everybody's lessons are in different areas. And one thing, when everybody's dealing with problems, they get out and it's like, they just go on. They don't learn from the experience. It's like someone getting out of prison, immediately going and robbing a thrift shop or something, and then getting back in prison. And so you need to really focus on these three, mainly throughout life in general. And then these added on throughout while you're in debt, just kill it off already. But while you're in debt, if you're actually applying all of these, which it takes practice to actually take action on multiple things, especially when it comes to your mind and action. A lot of people don't have a very developed will to be able to do these things. They'll usually start off with one at a time, and it's just fine. It's why I kind of went in chronological order. To first organize. While you're doing all this, distract yourself. Top priorities come up, get it done, because it could cost you more later. There's tons of things that'll end up costing us more in the end, rather than just costing us very little. You do have to weigh your options. You have to be smart about things. Focus on the perspective. If you're viewing it as losing money, you will not get out of debt fast. Your mind will not let you. Your mind will make you lose more money, because it is all based in the subconscious mind. It's why you see wealthy people can go bankrupt and then within a year go back to having 10 million. How the hell do they do it so fast? And yet people can't even get an extra $1,000 in their pockets within a month. It's the subconscious mind. It's the perspective that you need to repeat. So you need to keep doing these things. And while you go through this, learn. What lessons did you learn? What did it teach you? I know everyone looks at things as a bad thing. Some people just look at things as a good thing. It's the importance of positive thinking. It's great, but it's also unbalanced. And so when we look at it in a bad way, under a new light, that's where you learn from it. Because if you just think the same way that you used to, or it's just like when you're listening to something that you already understand and know, you don't learn anything. A lot of people don't like learning from their consequences. They don't want to look at that. It's the bad side, oh, forget about it, I'll do good. But they don't learn from their experience. This is your debt experience. It is a part of you, okay? And so you need to learn this. You need to apply your own things along the way. Don't just do my method. You need to personalize it towards yourself. Find out what works for you. If there's things that are working for you that I didn't go over, go and share that with somebody else. Give that on. Givers gain. You don't need to be out of debt. Everybody needs, the whole damn country needs to be out of debt, okay? Now, I can't help the country. I'm not here for that. I'm here to help very few people, okay? But while you're doing this, help other people. I know you know a lot of people that are in debt. As you're getting out, take what you've learned. Take what you've done. Take the things that helped you through your debt experience and pass that on to other people, because that's the shit that's going to get through. and that will keep you out of it. You see, once you teach somebody something, it registers into your mind on a different level. You start to learn way deeper. It's like, somebody knows a topic, but do you know a topic enough to teach it? There's a different level of knowing. And so when you can help other people go through debt, you start to learn also other things from your past debt experiences, maybe even things from 10, 20 years ago, whatever. And so, seriously, practice these things. You see, back in the day, honestly, I was only using these four. It wasn't until this time that I'm in debt that I started to think about the last time. I started to learn. I started to learn from my debt experience. It's a part of you. It's not bad. It's not good. It's neutral. It's whatever light you want to look at it in that gives you the results. If you look at it in a bad way and it gives you results, go for it. Might as well. If you're not in debt, if you're a happy person, if you're fine with the way life is, I don't know why you're on this channel. Either way, if you want to see my last video, you can click right here. And then if you want to see the last video, you can click right here. I will for you all to prosper. Oh, no. Click right here and subscribe if you're sexy. I will for you all to prosper. Yeah. And have a great day.